G'day guys, and today it's time for a bit of Australian-centric news. So Australia has joined Britain in condemning the Russians for 4 recent cyber attacks, saying that their military intelligence unit GRU is behind the attacks. Scott Morrison has come out with a statement today. So back in 2016, around the time of the Olympics, the World Anti-Doping Agency was hacked and the drug testing results of various athletes were stolen. We also have in the same year the infamous DNC hacks that may have cost Hillary Clinton the election. And then last year, in January, we have the email accounts of a small UK TV station were hacked, and later on in October, Russian and Ukrainian energy transport companies were hacked. I just want to point out straight away, I found some older articles saying that a Russian hacking group named Fancy Bear was responsible for hacking the email accounts of this small UK TV station. It's certainly possible that they're a front for the GRU, but surely this would have been something to report. I think it's strange that no one has said, hey, this group that we thought was just a bunch of independent Russians is in fact a pawn of the Russian state. So yes, Australia and Scott Morrison are very, very certain that Russians have hacked various things around the world. As he said, cyberspace is not the Wild West. The international community, including Russia, has agreed that international law and norms of responsible state behaviour apply in cyberspace. By embarking on a pattern of malicious cyber behaviour, Russia has shown a total disregard for the agreements it helped to negotiate. I got a little problem with the absolute certainty of Scott Morrison, the Australian government, and various other governments around the world in condemning Russia. I ask us to cast our mind back last year to a massive WikiLeaks dump on the CIA known as Vault 7. It details how the CIA in its hacking operations is capable of leaving digital fingerprints belonging to foreign nations. So quoting from zerohedge.com, the CIA's Remote Devices Branch's Umbrage Group collects and maintains a substantial library of attack techniques stolen from malware produced in other states, including the Russian Federation. With Umbrage and related projects, the CIA can not only increase its total number of attack types, but also misdirect attribution by leaving behind the fingerprints of the group that the attack techniques were stolen from. So what this essentially means is that the CIA can conduct false flag attacks, and its Russian mimicry capability is specifically mentioned. But that's only the half of it. The CIA has accidentally opened Pandora's box. It has lost control of its hacking programs. The code for the hacking programs has been distributed by former government hackers and contractors, that sort of thing. So it's freely available to anyone who knows how to find it. So anyone who gets a hold of the code gains the hacking capability of the CIA, which means that anyone who gets a hold of the code can run false flags and attribute attacks to other nations. So the code includes 1,000 pieces of malware, viruses, trojans, weaponized zero-day exploits, malware remote control systems, as well as associated documentation. WikiLeaks mentions that a former government hacker or contractor provided them with this part of the information. So something we should think about is that cyber weapons, hacking tools, are very different to physical weapons. Someone can get a hold of a bomb, but it will be very difficult and time-consuming to move around wherever you need to blow it up. A cyber weapon, however, can be transported around the world in seconds secretly via the internet. So basically, this stuff is out there, and if you know what you're doing, you could probably get a hold of it. So based on this information, can we truly say, or can the government say with certainty, that Russia is behind these attacks? It appears to me, I believe, an inexperienced, I don't know how to hack sort of person, it appears as if anyone can impersonate anyone. At this time of reporting, October 4th, Australian Eastern Standard Time, we haven't actually received any evidence for these claims of Russian hacking. We just received a statement from the government. So quoting from news.com.au, quote, based on advice from Australian intelligence agencies and in conclusion with our partners and allies, the Australian government has determined that the Russian military and their intelligence arm, the GRU, are responsible for this pattern of malicious cyber activity, Mr. Morrison and Ms. Payne said in a joint statement. So this isn't actually any evidence. They're not saying, hey, look, we found these fingerprints, we found, a cyber post-it note saying, haha, you suck, Russians rule, anything like that. We just have the state saying this has happened. I would like the public to be able to see some evidence before a representative state system goes around condemning other nations. Quoting from news.com again, Australian Ambassador for Cyber Affairs Dr. Tobias Feakin said Russians' actions were completely out of bounds. We're very, very sure it was them who have conducted this array of activity in the international arena, so we feel the evidence base is firm, he told Sky News. Now, this isn't any evidence either, it's just someone who's Australian's ambassador, appeal to authority, that sort of thing. Still, no evidence. We're very, very sure it was them. We feel the evidence base is firm. Well, is it firm or is it not? The firmness of any evidence should be, irrespective of how you feel about it. I can suddenly feel that the evidence for gravity is not very firm. It's rather spongy, but, things still fall when I drop them. It doesn't matter what you feel about the evidence base. The firmness of the evidence base, which is a weird sentence, it's just self-evident. It is firm. It shouldn't matter how it feels. It's ridiculous. So in this debacle, until I actually see some actual evidence, I'm not going to believe anything that's said. I'm just being told that Russians have hacked things. I haven't been shown any evidence. I've just had, affirmations from people who are smart or whatever. And that just doesn't fly for me. If the government knows something that I don't, I should know that too. You're meant to represent me. How about you represent me when I know the actual information? And even if evidence does come out, hey look, we found Russian digital fingerprints, that doesn't actually prove anything, since the CIA's tools were leaked and anyone can impersonate anyone, as long as you have the tools. Wouldn't this be funny if this was part of Scott Morrison's plan to stay in office? Oh, we need to project this foreign enemy for me to be the strong man against, and therefore people will feel safe and they'll vote for me. That would be pretty funny. Thanks for sticking around and have a good one.